private for $52.5 billion in what could become the largest ever buyout funded by a private equity firm. The private equity firm Silver Lake Partners, Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund PIF, and Affinity Partners will pay EA stockholders $210 per share. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
By President Trump's executive order, Antifa is now a domestic terrorist organization behind numerous attacks on police, federal agents, causing chaos everywhere. We currently have no federal law regarding domestic terrorism, so it's not sure how the executive order can be carried out. And Trump critics point out Antifa is not really an organization, just an ideological movement. Pardon me, your ideological movement just threw a firebomb into a police station. Yeah, that's kind of activity. Well, possibly under the RICO Act, there could be investigations about funding for domestic violence, such as Antifa. A recent report states that George Soros and his Open Society gave $80 million to U.S.-based groups dedicated to violence. In fact, $23 million of that went to just 7 groups based right here in the USA. You want to guess the name of some of them? Well, start with the A's. No, you got one. You got one already. Good, we're taking action because this is a clear and present danger.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in.
So Michelle found them. I'd love to know where she found those. So here's what happened. And this is crazy. This is why I really don't like these remote start keys and things like that. First of all, I'm really super disorganized. I mean, I am just so bad. I'm sure So, well, and I know Michelle Rush knows that now too, because she did me a favor and went into my car to look for my keys that I had lost in my car. And this is the second time that's happened this weekend where I can't find my keys. I know I have my keys because I can start my car, but I don't know where the keys are. So the keys have to be, in the vicinity somewhere. So then I'm in a hurry to get in. I had a really super hectic morning, bunch of stuff going on. And so I'm running like a chicken with my head cut off. And by the way, that's a terminology my mom used to use all the time. I know that's nothing unusual to you. I know you've heard it too. But my mom really saw chickens running around with their heads cut off because she was kind of a farm girl and in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And so she knows what happens. She's actually literally seen chickens running around with their heads cut off. So anyway, so she I remember a couple of things she used to say. You're like a bull in the china shop. Now, I don't think she ever saw an actual bull in a china shop, but that's when I was breaking, I was a little kid and I was clumsy or breaking stuff or doing whatever. She'd say, a bull in the, like a bull in the china shop. And then she would say, you've got more of this than Carter has pills. And of course, I never really found out what that meant until way later in life when I discovered that Carter was like a pill guy, like a pill maker or pill inventor or something. So anyway, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And I finally get in and I'm just leaving the car. And then and I can't find my keys. And I'm thinking, well, it's probably not going to get stolen in our parking lot, whatever. But I finally had to just cut bait and get in and just leave my car there. And right about the time I was making that decision, Jeff is calling me, Jeff Allen, the poobah here, wondering where the hell I am, thinking and then he saw me out the window coming in. So that was confirmed. Then I came in and I was like, well, just going to have to chance it and see what's going to happen. And then Michelle Rush, sweet as she is, she's kind of like the den mother of News Talk STL. She's kind of like the person that makes everything work, and I think I don't want to reduce her queen. Okay. Queen. So anyway, she says, you want me to go out and look for him? And I'm thinking, well, I hope she doesn't find that open bottle of tequila in the back seat. And I'm, of course, my car is filthy, as you would imagine. And then each time, it gets filthier because of the things people give to me. So I can't wait to find out where actually she found the keys because I was looking all over the place, if frantically. But yeah, I mean, everybody always gives me stuff. So the last time the second to last time I sold a house, and got Susan and her mother into a house. It just so happens that her dad died and left behind all of these Louis L'Amour books. And they had them all boxed up. And she said, do you want the Louis L'Amour books? I was like, I don't know why I didn't say, nah, it's okay. I don't need them. But I'm thinking, no, they're Louis L'Amour books. And she was, otherwise we're going to throw them away. I'm like, well, I don't want you to throw them away. So now I have about 5 boxes of Louis L'Amour books in the back of my Jeep. And it's like, if any of you have an attraction to Louis L'Amour, I've got some books for you. If you need those, if the Louis L'Amour thing touches your heart, I will meet you someplace and give you a box of Louis L'Amour books. They're not worth anything, I don't think. But sentimentally to some people, they might be. All right, enough of that story. So anyway, and I'll find out during the break where Michelle found the keys, but I'm very appreciative that she would go out there and look for them. And I felt sorry for probably her hands are all cut by razor, whatever's under my seats and, whatever. So you guys, a lot of you guys have been smart and I haven't been so smart. Some of you have said before, when, for instance, we talk about the NFL. And you're like, usually, I'll never watch the NFL again. And I know people like that. My brother-in-law, he'll never watch another NFL game after, and he's a police officer, after that whole Black Lives Matter nonsense. Yeah, he totally no NFL whatsoever. Me, on the other hand, I decided that I was going to do fantasy football this year again. I do it with my kids, and so I'm like, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. But every time I talk about the NFL, some of you guys, I think righteously and rightly say, screw the NFL. I don't watch them anymore. And that's it. And so that's, and I'm like, well, I'll still do it. Now, suddenly I'm thinking, okay, perhaps you guys are right about the NFL. The NFL announcing that this trashy thug named Bad Bunny is going to be the Super Bowl halftime performer this time around. I mean, how in the hell did they make this decision? And of course, all this does, and you guys know what's happening with all the ICE stuff, right? And people are getting killed over the ICE stuff. Although there was one satisfying video I saw of a Karen who was going to bitch at these ICE agents who were making arrests, and she forgot to put her car in park. And so it rolled into this lake and sunk. And all these guys are like, all these ICE agents are making fun of her. They're like, oh, Lucy, I'll play it for you on the other side of this break. But she wants to get out of her car and go and give these ICE agents the third degree, and leaves the car, doesn't put it in park, and it rolls into this lake in this park and sinks. It was very satisfying to watch that happen. But anyway, on a more serious note, I mean, ICE agents are being targeted now, but on all levels of violence. So how does the NFL possibly decide that it's a good thing to have this Puerto Rican thug rap star who said he was not going to tour the U.S. out of fear that ICE would arrest his fans? How do you have him doing the halftime show at the NFL? How do you do that when times are so sensitive and everything else? It's almost like you're inviting a bunch of ancillary protests, and all it does is draw attention to the ICE situation and the controversy that is dividing Americans right now over that, although it shouldn't be. But it's actually the view of ICE agents that this rapper has are getting them shot at. So how is he the first of all, what the hell, right? I mean, I've seen some of his lyrics and everything else, but I've never heard of this guy. And I mean, I don't even know. He probably, I don't know. I'm not even going to play this because I don't know whether it has cuss words in it or not. I'll figure it out. I haven't had time to check it out. But he blasted ICE after seeing them conducting. They did a raid in Puerto Rico, actually. And he called them MFers and sons of bees and all kinds of stuff. And this guy, I mean, I don't understand how they do this. And, you think about this branding and you think about these people who are just purposely ruining their brands. I mean, we saw it with Bud Light and everything else. Then we had this other one that was a surfing clothing outlet, and they had as their model or mascot or whatever a beautiful woman who had her arm eaten off by a shark. She was the symbol of surfing and everything else, and they replaced her with a dude who is saying he's a woman and a surfer. And it lost like 85% of its business over the last year. 85%. So I don't know what the NFL is doing, and are they going to, what kind of, and you know what's going to happen here. They're going to probably say, hey, maybe you want to kind of keep it down. Don't say anything about this. Don't say anything about the situation with the ice. Don't talk about it on the stage or whatever. And then he'll bitch about how they're trying to censor me. And I mean, you know how this is going to go. And by the way, I thought that Trump was like friends with Goodell or these people. Wasn't there just an event where they had the NFL commissioner at the event? Can you guys remind me about that? I'm thinking, how do you betray President Trump? And I'm not saying you have to do your halftime show based on what President Trump wants, but why would you do something that is causing so much, not just consternation, but violence in this country? It doesn't make any sense, but you know what? These guys never do. President Trump meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu will, if there is it looks like there might be a news conference with both of them in there, and we'll follow up on that. And what a weird weekend for just random violence. It's just crazy. Know what to make of it, really. Happy Monday, everybody. This is Common Sense Radio. The 3 Martini Lunch, people.
News and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy. This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Window World. Window World. Let me tell you something about Window World. First of all, you want to go with some people who actually love their products, and they love them so much that they put a lifetime warranty on their products, meaning that if anything fails on the lifetime warranty end, I'm telling you what, it is the glass breakage, parts, labor, whatever it takes, everything is no outlay for you at all. Qualified Remodeler Magazine. Qualified Remodeler Magazine is kind of the Bible for remodeling people. And the Window World window is prized not only for homeowners, but also for people who do remodeling. And so Qualified Remodeler Magazine point out, these windows, they're the top-selling windows in the country. And so that only gives Window World more credit. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800. Thermally superior to all the rest. Beautiful. As well from the inside while you're looking at them from the outside, while they're looking at your house from the street. So beautiful windows, durability, thermally superior to all the rest, good housekeeping seal of approval. Financing options are available to you, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to do a whole house project. The Window World window, the official window of our beloved St. Louis Blues. 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
For 3 generations, one family has ruled the road in quality asphalt paving. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. Family owned and operated. We're your leading authority for driveways, lanes, and parking areas. No project is too small or too large. We cater to both residential and commercial needs with unbeatable quality at just $38 per square yard plus labor. Call 636-295-9949. 636-295-9949. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. You save when we pave.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL, ladies and gentlemen. These breaks are so damn short. I didn't even have a chance to get out there and ask Michelle where she found my keys. It's so great. She's such a go-getter. I'll find out one of these days. Just I'll have the end of the story available to you before the hour is up. Like, Jamie, we already forgot about it. We don't care. It's like, well, I know, but I do. So you got to stick with me, people. We are monitoring the situation at the White House as Bibi and President Trump are set to hold a joint news conference of some sort. Did you see this guy? Did you see the St. Louis connection to this Andre Roberts dude? The superintendent of the schools there in Des Moines? My gosh, how did they manage this whole thing? What an embarrassment. An illegal immigrant is the superintendent of schools in Des Moines. And guess what? They wound up arresting him. He flees. They find him with $3,000 in cash, a loaded gun, hiding in the woods and everything else. And then it turns out he had some kind of gun charge or something or other in 2020. And that still hadn't been adjudicated yet. And he lied about his background and everything else. In all these stupid white liberal nutsoids, one of them, the head of the school board, is the former chief of staff for Michelle Obama. And this guy winds up being the superintendent because, of course, their little DEI plush toy, and he's got a man bun, and you get the drill, right? And he makes all the white people feel better because they're not racist if they just hire some black dude. And so he turns out he's an overstay. It got a work permit a long, long time ago and an overstay, and they arrested him. And now they're all GoFundMeing, and they're all in a lather in Des Moines. It's like, wow, you guys don't even get it. It turns out that this guy was a superintendent in the St. Louis public school district at some point. I guess they called him the high school. The high school superintendent or something. That's so I have no idea. And did you notice that I don't think many local media outlets even followed up on this? I think I saw some people on Facebook posting about it, but I don't think many people pointed out. It's like, that's really weird. So how did he get through and apparently that was in before he went to Des Moines. So it was between 2020 when he was arrested on that gun charge or whatever it was. And then 2025 or 2024 when he was appointed as the superintendent. So he was here during that time, and also during the time that there was an order of deportation for him. This is unbelievable. All right. Speaker Johnson. People sometimes have their opinions about him, whatever. It's interesting how the news media and others, and Jake Tapper particularly on CNN, have spent the whole weekend trying to kind of spin this thing about the indictment of James Comey. And there are a lot of people, and I'm not going to quote Michael Cohen because he's a dirtbag, but if it's worth anything to you, Michael Cohen says he definitely will be convicted. So who knows? But, he's who knows? So anyway, Tapper gets on with Speaker Mike Johnson, and he's trying to play this gotcha with Johnson, and Johnson does a pretty good job with it.
Subject in the news here having to do with the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey. Just looking at the principle at stake here, if you can remove Comey and Trump out of the equation, as a constitutional attorney and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, do you believe it's acceptable for any president to publicly or privately instruct their attorney general to prosecute a political opponent and go as far as firing a U.S. attorney if they don't bring charges because they don't think the case is strong enough.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about this too? When you talk about precedent and principle, is that when James Comey oversaw the spying on an American president, there was never a moment where Jake Tapper, the news media, and beyond ever said, well, this is unprecedented. This is unbelievable. This is so surreal. This is so unusual. This is so that they never once expressed like how incredible it was that you could have the FBI spying on an American president and also drumming up fake documents to malign the president of the United States. I mean, you talk about unprecedented, but now James Comey gets indicted, and these guys all act like somehow history is being made. I mean, constitutionally, from Jake Tapper's point of view, hey, Jake, constitutionally, how do you even remotely defend the actions of James Comey and the plan to undermine and destroy the executive branch? I just don't get it.
As a constitutional attorney and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, do you believe it's acceptable for any president to publicly or privately instruct their attorney general to prosecute a political opponent and go as far as firing a U.S. attorney if they don't bring charges because they don't think the case is strong enough?
What?
I'm glad you brought up the principle. That is exactly what's at issue here. James Comey lied to Congress. Okay, he took an oath. He said things to Congress that were simply not true. It's called perjury. A grand jury that is not, a nonpartisan, non-biased grand jury that was assembled looked at the charges and they agreed, they voted to bring an indictment of James Comey, not President Trump, not the DOJ, but a grand jury. That's how our system works. It's a very important principle for us to apply that everybody has to subscribe to the law.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, and I'm glad Johnson's pointing this out. And this is educational in a lot of ways and should be to people out there who, for those of you who somehow wind up in a situation where you have to explain this to some idiot. And yeah, I talked to Judge Napolitano about this last week. And would I prefer President Trump not say anything about the Comey indictment? Yeah, only because I just don't want anybody to try to use that to throw the case out because they can't get a fair trial. But Judge Napolitano said, no, there are people out there who will give a fair trial. So he actually didn't think that was really a possibility. So he talked me off the ledge a little bit about that. But the reality is James Comey was not indicted by Donald Trump. He wasn't even indicted by Pam Bondi. He was indicted by a grand jury, a jury of his peers. And you know what? It's so funny how that's what they used to say whenever Donald Trump was indicted. Well, it was a jury of his peers. It was a jury of his peers. It was a jury of his peers. And then now Jake Tapper doesn't even want to mention the grand jury.
A former FBI director, and he has lots to answer for. There are many things that he could have been indicted for, but the statute of limitations ran out on so many of those matters. Not here. Perjury is important. You can't, especially if you're a high official, appointed or elected official, you cannot raise your hand, take an oath, and lie to Congress. And that's an important principle, Jake, for us to advance.
And of course, as typical on shows like this, Tapper's listening, but he's bored. And he's going to give Johnson this ability to answer the question, but he's going to sit there like he's sucking lemons with that sourpuss face on and just let Mike Johnson wind down, and then he's just going to go back and ask basically the same question again or some different formulation of it to get him.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but you didn't answer the part about President Trump putting it all out there for everyone to see on Truth Social.
So what? It's an indictment. What does CNN do every day? They put it out there for everybody to see, right? It's kind of like with CNN when Trump was indicted. CNN put it out there for everybody to see. Isn't it weird that, President Trump put it out there for everybody to see? You mean the indictment of a former FBI director who was at the center of a plot to bring down the president? What are you supposed to do with that? And Tapper's like, well, and that's also what the mainstream media hates about social media. And it's because they don't want anybody else but them to get the message out. They can't stand Twitter and Truth Social and all those kinds of things because they can't control the messages that way. Jake Tapper would rather Donald Trump shut up about the James Comey indictment so Jake Tapper and CNN could bury it. Well, he just put it out there for everybody to see,
And that's an important principle, Jake, for us to advance.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but you didn't answer the part about President Trump putting it all out there for everyone to see.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. I mean, it's a legitimate piece of news, and Jake Tapper's complaining that Donald Trump put it out there for everybody to see. It's confounding to me how a journalist could possibly be bitching about stuff being put out there for everybody to see. Aren't they the ones who are always talking about, truth dies in darkness, and we're the fourth estate and we shine a light on the truth. It's like, yeah, except when Donald Trump does it.
On Truth Social, after pushing out the U.S. attorney, this conservative Eric Siebert, he wrote to Pam Bondi, the attorney general, nothing's being done about Comey, Schiff, and Letitia James, even though they're all, quote, guilty as hell. The president demanded justice must be served.
Okay. It's okay. So the president demanded justice must be served. So I'm sorry, Jake, is that only reserved for Black Lives Matter to demand that justice must be served? Is that only reserved for people supporting George Floyd? Well, listen to this guy. This president's asking that justice be served. Justice smustish. It's like, really, dude? Yeah, he's out there promoting, demanding that justice be served. It's like, you idiots do that every day on anything conservative, whatever, man. You protected this Abrego rapey, beady, disgusting, wife-beating person, and when he was going to be deported, you were like, justice must be served. That's, to try to keep him free. But yeah, all that nonsense. Yeah, he's all talking about Comey lied and justice must be served. It's like, yeah.
Nothing's being done about Comey, Schiff, and Letitia James, even though they're all, quote, guilty as hell. The president demanded justice must be served now. He mentioned Lindsey Halligan.
Weren't these guys just talking about the importance of the First Amendment when Jimmy Kimmel was running his mouth? I think so, right? I mean, you guys, you're tracking me, right? You're tracking with me on this, right? I mean, how just in just this one little video and this one little thing, how hypocritical these people are. I mean, this is so easy. This is like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, my goodness gracious. And then they talk about, President Trump out there on Truth Social saying stuff. That's like, okay, how is that different from Jimmy Kimmel on his show saying stuff? Or is it because it's President Trump that you want President Trump to keep his mouth shut? Or when it comes to President Trump, there's really no such thing as the First Amendment or whatever. That my goodness gracious, last week, that's all these people would talk about was freedom of speech. And now Tapper's got his panties in a bundle over President Trump freely exercising his speech.
Bondi, the attorney general, nothing's being done about Comey, Schiff, and Letitia James, even though they're all, quote, guilty as hell. The president demanded justice must be served now. He mentioned Lindsey Halligan, who is now the acting U.S. attorney. And Bondi clearly got the message. She appointed Halligan U.S. attorney, despite the fact she has no prosecutorial experience. few days later, Halligan indicted Comey. I mean, this
Johnson's just about to just gut him like a deer.
looks like it was directed by the president.
Get him,
As
Mike.
you know, indictments are not convictions. Indictments have to do with a grand jury saying whether or not a case can be brought. It's not a finding of guilt.
Shut
The
up,
defense
Jake,
isn't even
so you can
allowed
take your
to
beating.
present a case there. Don't you have any qualms about any president telling an attorney general, go after these three political opponents?
No, actually, don't.
I would take issue with that. I don't think that's what he did. But what I have qualms with, Jake, is the total and utter weaponization of the Department of Justice. And Comey was a primary person responsible for that. They quite literally, for 4 years under the Biden administration, turned the entire apparatus of our judicial system against one person. His name's Donald Trump. There's never been a political figure in the history of the world who was so maligned and attacked, certainly not using the legal system of his country to go after him in the way they did. Every way possible. You and I would need 3 hours of a program to go through all the ways that they did that. They
Yeah, and so, I mean, this is just, and Johnson does it with deft. He doesn't have to raise his voice. He just does it factually, and as of course always is the case, Tapper's just bored. He just really wanted to talk. He didn't care what Mike Johnson's answer was. All right, we are monitoring the situation at the White House with Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump, and on the way, a special Monday appearance by the great Doug Giles, ClashDaily.com.
The tides are changing.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
The Democratic Party doesn't stand with what I stand for.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Schneider's True Value Hardware, 100 years plus in Old Town St. Peter's. And isn't that fantastic? I mean, what hardware store do you know has been in one place for more than 100 years? And that's because this is a family-run operation. And you've got Jerry Schneider, and then you've got his partner, Charlie, and you got everybody there who is ready to go to help you through all of the issues that you might have in terms of your home projects that you're doing on the weekend or whatever. You're fixing doors, you're doing this, you're doing that, or maybe you're just like taking care of the yard. Well, they've got the steel products now, and they are full-on parts and repairs, and they sell, of course, the equipment. The steel line is these battery-operated lawn equipment pieces, and they're really good products. They're kind of all the rage now because they're top line. Some of these other ones, and you probably have experienced, you buy these cheapy little battery-powered, hedge trimmers or something, and they last about a year, and then they're gone. Not with the steel products. These are great products, and everything's priced just right at Schneider's True Value Hardware. In fact, the prices are lower than the big box stores, not higher as some people might perceive them to be in some cases. So check it out. It's Schneider's True Value Hardware. Check it out right up there on the web, truevalue.com/Schneiders, truevalue.com/Schneiders.
Located in the heart of St. Charles, Kevin's Guns is your family-owned destination for all things firearms. Whether you're a collector, hunter, or military enthusiast, we have it or can get it for you. From new to used rifles and handguns in every style and caliber, our friendly and knowledgeable staff is here to help educate you and ensure you make the perfect choice for your needs. Buy, sell, or browse our incredible selection at kevinsguns.net or call 636-493-1195. Kevin's Guns, where gun enthusiasts come home.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 425. At 525, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report. Yeah. So Manny says, hey, Jamie, the Hotel Frontier Library. Hotel Frontier Library. I'd like to stay at that hotel. Or maybe it's the Hotel Frontier Library. That's what it is. They'd love to have the Louis L'Amour books. Feel free to donate them. Okay. I have a link to the library. Click on and ask a librarian. If you still have one of the Radio Free Allman hats, I need to buy one to replace mine. All right, buddy, I've got a couple of those for you. And by the way, Phil Valencia put some stuff on his Facebook page. I don't know whether you saw it or not. Selling Allman Report gear. Mugs and T-shirts, people. Pretty cool, huh? You want one? We're going to figure it out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a special guest star appearance on a Monday. The great Doug Giles. It's only now about 12 days away or 11 days away that Doug Giles will be right here in the St. Louis area. He's going to be with me and all the rest of us at Washington Guard at the Price of Freedom dinner in Washington, Mo. If you go to the WashingtonGuard.com, you go ahead and get your tickets. Doug's going to be bringing some books and things like that. And by the way, Doug, if you want to send those ahead of time to me, then I'll make sure we get them so you don't bring him with you or whatever. But he'll be signing books. He'll be the keynote speaker there. He's a great guy, and you guys will be able to meet him in person. And so get your tickets now. Doug Giles, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
Kicking ass, Jamie. How are you, big dog?
I am great, man. I am great. And so I know just real quickly, because I'm not trying to hawk a bunch of stuff, but Doug, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about Doug still having those paintings, the Charlie Kirk paintings, which I'm sure people are really wanting now, right?
Yeah, I did two of them. One's out of Revelation 14, verse 13, where John the Revelator said, "Blessed are those who die in the Lord. They will rest from their hard work, and their good deeds will follow after them." And that was the fastest selling painting I've ever done. And I mean, it sold as soon as I put it on IG, boom, it's gone. And we've got limited edition prints and open edition prints. We got about 100 limited edition left, a little less. But my whole thing in doing both these Charlie paintings, the other one's Be Bold, portrait of Charlie, and around it in my old rickety handwriting, I quote Romans 1 verse 16, where Paul said, "I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it's the power of God unto salvation for the Jew first and also the Greek." And the reason I did it is the young people, especially the young warriors, the young male. He massively, as you well know, appealed to them and woke them up, to eternal realities, and also our grand documents of the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and Declaration of Independence that formed this incredible free land and self-governance. And so anyway, I did it so grandpa or mom and dad could get their kid a picture of Charlie with these epic verses surrounding his portraiture, and they can remove the Justin Bieber, Bruno, whoever, pull that poster down, put Charlie up, and hopefully, Jamie, this is my prayer. Are you listening, Lord? And by this imagery, it will put brains and balls on the young Christian men that are out there, and they would move from being, dullards and chickens and become, courageous believers, a proper young man like Charlie Kirk was.
Yeah, I love it, man. I mean, I don't know whether you caught this, but I don't know what happened to Sinclair and Nexstar, but Sinclair especially, it turns out that they were going to re-air the Charlie Kirk Memorial on their television stations, and then they didn't. And they said it was because of threats. It's like, wow, I mean, so much for learning anything from Charlie Kirk. About courage.
Yeah, again, you got to give it to the left. That's a fringe minority of people who think, that Kimmel was sliced bread and Christmas, and Charlie Kirk was this right-wing agitator. But they're ferocious, and it's sad. But I think Kimmel he's not getting any funnier. It's not like, hey, we're going to turn over a new leaf and we'll have the Jimmy Kimmel New Groove show.
Yeah.
I think he's still going to suck. I think he's still going to be highly partisan. He's not funny. And I think, maybe he'll, because of advertisers are pulling out because nobody's putting eyeballs on his crappy show, that he'll be in the same situation a year from now, if not earlier.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then of course you have this. I just don't even understand this. So everybody's talking about toning down the rhetoric, everything else. I don't necessarily agree on that level. I mean, if people have an opinion, they ought to put it forth. But then you have the situation where the NFL decides they're gonna invite like one of the most prominent ice haters on the planet, this Bad Bunny rapper, to be the halftime show. Unbelievable, man. Why would they do that?
Yeah, go broke.
Yep.
And you'd figure after Kaepernick stuff, they would learn, not to make decisions with their head cranially posterioralized. That's how I would put it, Jamie. But again, stupid has no boundaries, and it might be the great switch off during halftime when they put that clown up there. I remember the days, man. Aerosmith, Paul McCartney, and then they're just missing America. Like I don't know what's his name, Bad Bunny.
Yeah, I mean,
does he have a huge pro NFL, apple pie Chevrolet group that follows him?
Well, no, I mean,
the great country and western singers that are around right now, man. Get Oliver Anthony, to come up with a new tune, and just have some good old meat and potato stuff instead of some glitterati. You only know them if you're on TikTok type person.
Well, I'll go down. I'll run the gamut of generations here because I've got a 35-year-old son, a 33-year-old daughter, a son who just turned 21, a 17-year-old daughter, and a 15-year-old daughter, and none of them have even ever heard of this guy. I mean,
yeah, I didn't until yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, so
we need to get back to solid, traditional family halftime shows like the one with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake.
Well,
you remember that?
Yeah,
man?
oh yeah. I mean,
we're sitting there at my buddy Oscar's house, and we've got all the kiddos there, and that's when Hannah and Regis were young, and then all of a sudden there's a booby on television. It's just unbelievable.
Well, and all that compared to like the kind of garbage we've gotten since that time, it makes Janet and Justin look like Steve and Edie. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, just Lucy, Desi, totally measured, totally tame. At least there was a pasty involved. There.
Yeah. So also,
again, I don't know Goodell, who he put in charge over there, to book talent for halftime. But man, I don't know. I guess I'm just this anachronistic, antiquated, 62-year-old toad who hasn't evolved. But none of it's been great. None of it's been America. None of it's been something that is remotely in the middle and entertaining. It's always on the left, and it's a big FU to anybody else who doesn't like it or doesn't understand it. And again, I think it's probably a DEI hire that Goodell's got again. That's booking this crap. But with the Kaepernick stuff, they learned the hard way. Don't play with your base.
Yeah,
we will tune you out.
I thought that Goodell and Trump were friends. I mean, I'm telling you, it was just not a month ago that I saw Goodell in the damn Oval Office about something. I don't know whether it was the World Cup or what it was about. I'm like, dude, how can you do this? I'm not saying that Trump has to decide who the halftime show is, but why would you purposely invite a guy who's at the very least controversial, but also kind of a guy who hates ICE, and that kind of hatred that he has had has gotten them shot at. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me, man. Goodell's an idiot, but that's how it goes.
Well, at least you don't feel strongly about it, Jamie.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's why I want the young, again, the young men in particular. Not that we're not selling it to the young women. Anybody can buy my Charlie prints and stuff. Is if life imitates art, don't get lame ass art. And I really believe that. That's why I don't have a boring wall in my house or in my studio. None of it's boring. I want everything to scream at me. I've got paintings of lions. I've got paintings of William Wallace that I've done. I've got paintings of Churchill smoking a cigar, holding a Tommy gun. I've got a painting of, do you remember Tristan in Legends of the Fall?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When he went on his Africa spelunk, and he's got the long hair now. He's got this epic double bore shotgun, and he's got shotgun shells slung around his chest. I got that. And again, got a lot of biblical art too, because that stuff speaks to you. If you've got, precious moment figurines, you're going to be a poodle. If you've got, a painting of, I don't know, a cabin with a light barely shining, then you're probably going to be a dim bulb. Get stuff that feeds your soul, feeds your spirit. It goes into the eye gate. Boom! It shoots adrenaline into your soul, or just some grand epic landscape, a lion. That's the kind of we've always done it, man. We've always had epic art around us.
Yeah, it'd be just my luck. I come down to visit you, and then middle of the night trying to find the bathroom. And I'm wandering through that place, scare the crap out of me, So make sure.
I think I've got. Yeah, it's
I know where everything is.
I'm sitting in the Hemingway suite right now, and it's way cool. I would have never imagined, man. You know what my dad did when we were young? So we grew up very middle class, and my mom stayed home. He worked, put 4 through college. And so he would take us on drives, Jamie, through the wealthy parts of the neighborhood or the wealthy parts of the city. And he was like, boy, you work hard, you can have one of these. And think about that. He didn't say, these rich bastards, they're scamming, we ought to steal their car or whatever. He was vision cast.
Buddy.
And my dad went, he went some huge spiritual zeitgeist.
You're the best, man. I gotta go because we're up against this hard break. But dude, that's a great story. And speaking of Hemingway, I know you've been to that house in Key West, but alas, I'm 10 seconds away from having to say goodbye. But love you, brother. Thank you so much. DougGiles.org. Okay, buddy. Have a great rest of your day. This is Common Sense Radio.
Success. It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best in each of us, made better by the best in all of us. Whatever success looks like to you, Stifel is invested in yours. That's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. So whether you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
The Washington Guard presents the 4th annual Patriots Banquet, The Price of Freedom, honoring real American heroes. Join us October 11th at Parish Hall in Union, Missouri. Hear from featured speakers Doug Giles, founder of Warriors and Wild Men, and Marine Colonel Jack Jackson, Harrier jet fighter pilot. Master of Ceremonies Jamie Allman will host this inspiring evening. For tickets, visit thewashingtonguard.com. Use code NewsTalkSTL for $10 off.
Do you love going on a cruise, or have you always dreamt on going on the cruise vacation of your life? With dozens of cruise companies, who do you call to find the right vacation and deal for you? Now you can make one phone call and shop all the best deals on every single cruise line in the world. You can't get that by calling one cruise line. We have them all, with experts that know the ins and outs of every cruise ship and can tell you the best cruise for your vacation needs. Our cruise packages start at $149. Plus, we offer free internet, free guest packages, and cash back deals. So now is your chance to book the cruise of your lifetime. Call the cruise hotline right now and shop every single cruise line in the world. Here's the number. Call 800-430-7924. 800-430-7924. 800-430-7924. That's 800-430-7924.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm John Scott. Speaking with reporters, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says President Trump expects both the Israelis and Hamas to sign off on a new peace proposal.
The president knows and believes that this is as good of a plan as these sides are going to see. And that's why it's 21 points. It's very detailed. It's comprehensive.
The president and prime minister meeting at the White House today to solidify details of the plan. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats are facing heat for their shifting stance on a government shutdown threat. More from correspondent Bernie Bennett in Washington.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and his caucus have further dug into their position in the week that Congress has been away from Washington, and they appear ready to deny the needed votes to avert a partial government shutdown by September 30th. Senate Majority Leader John Thune tells the Salem Radio Network the strategy is bound to backfire.
They're, taking what I think are pretty bizarre steps and frankly, steps that I think are not smart politically for them, but they can't see. They're just blinded by the hatred.
Republicans say the rhetoric is hypocritical to their stance from March when Senate Democrats voted to keep the government open. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
Ukrainian President Zelensky condemning Russia's most recent aggression against his country as well as suspicious airspace violations.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Russia of trying to hit Ukraine with a blackout after a massive strike on Sunday targeted multiple regions, killing at least 4 people and injuring more than 80. Zelensky adds that intelligence indicates that Russia's using its shadow fleet of tankers to launch and control drones against European countries. He wants the Baltic Sea closed to limit this shadow fleet activity. Several European countries in Northern Europe have experienced unexplained drone activity. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The Dow dropping 30 points, the Nasdaq Composite ahead 104. More on these stories at townhall.com.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, everything you need and nothing.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, if you liked it yesterday, you'll like it today. We hit 88 for the high yesterday. 1 degree higher is for the forecast 89 today under sunny skies. Not too humid. We're keeping the dew points in the mid-50s. That's moderate humidity. We do have mild evenings and mornings to look forward to, and we'll drop down to about the 60s in the metro area and upper 50s in outlying areas. And tomorrow's high, once again, about 89 degrees, and then a little bit of an increase in clouds in the afternoon. That's about it. I'm KMOV First Alert Meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At U.S. Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With U.S. Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
U.S. Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
News, analysis, opinion.
What Secretary Kennedy is doing is aligned with what the scientific evidence says.
We need true research to say what is right, what is wrong. I don't believe that 6 months old should be vaccinated for COVID.
The Department of Justice mission is to reduce illegal employment and prevent employers from gaining an unfair advantage.
This is what the president won his campaign and his mandate on.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one
for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here. Happy to be with you. And Ashlyn is over there, too. And we are waiting for Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump to come on out. Come on down. Boy, do I miss The Price is Right. Bob Barker and that awesome microphone. Only he and that dude from the Match Game were the ones that had those excellent microphones. Really thin. What's the guy's name? Gene Rayburn on Match Game. Yeah, he and Bob Barker had those really rare microphones. And a lot of that has to do with a little level of vanity, which I don't blame him for. But when you put so much effort into having that really nice suit and everything else, why would you want to hold some big fat stick in front of you? So the thin microphone allowed people to see just how awesome your ties are, That's exactly what that is. But yeah, we'll see what happens. They're about, unless I'm mistaken, I was told it was 1:15 Eastern. So they might be they're either an hour behind, or the people who said Eastern were wrong. And it's actually Central. So we'll see. Well, that time will tell. Because if it's 1:15 and they come marching out, they will know. President Trump is normally, he's not like, occasionally he takes a little bit, but he's not normally very late. He's fairly punctual on these kinds of matters. All right, so you guys know that I've talked about this quite a bit, about there's a guy named Ryan Walters. He's a superintendent of schools in Oklahoma. And by now you've probably heard of him. Or heard him interviewed. For instance, he's frequently a guest on some of the conservative talk shows and things like that. I've had him on my show here before, and he's a great guy. The thing about Ryan Walters is that you have to understand, or that you should know about, is that he is an elected school superintendent in the state of Oklahoma. They elect their school superintendents in the state of Oklahoma. And what you get in return from an elected school superintendent is you get a person who runs on certain promises or certain viewpoints about education, and then will enact those. And there's a competition for the job. And it just so happens that Ryan Walters ran a campaign based on a conservative approach to education in Oklahoma and won. And now it's just crazy. Every single month, it seems he's doing something new. He's kind of as active as President Trump is on these matters. And so, of course, you're also going to get people who don't have any fear about trampling on toes because he's elected. He has a mandate. And things like COVID and stuff like that. If they're not going to be there are not going to be any masks in school. You're going to stay in the classroom. All those kinds of things that we don't get when you have some NEA sponsored goofball or a person who's gone through the ranks of the NEA and all that kind of stuff, or gets the NEA blessing or all that nonsense. And you've got, well, basically a politician. I think that's a good thing. A person, though, who understands education. So Ryan Walters over the weekend announced that Oklahoma will launch Turning Point USA chapters in every high school in the state. That's amazing, huh? This is what he had to say.
I'm excited to announce today that every Oklahoma high school will have a Turning Point USA chapter. We have seen the outpouring from parents, teachers, and students that want to be engaged in the meaningful work going on at Turning Point. They want their young people to be engaged in a process that understands free speech, open engagement, dialogue about American greatness, a dialogue around American values. We're so excited to partner with Turning Point USA with this initiative. For far too long, we have seen radical leftists with the teachers union dominate classrooms and push woke indoctrination on our kids. They fight parents' rights, they push parents out of the classroom, and they lie to our kids about American history. What we're going to continue to do is make sure that our kids understand American greatness, engage in civic dialogue, and have that open discussion. We will continue to do all that we can to make sure Oklahoma students have the best education possible.
I mean, that's unbelievable. You don't hear that kind of language from people in education. No offense to those of you if you're in education, but I'm talking about in the leadership and educational leadership. You don't hear that kind of language, and I'm not quite sure what is preventing us from having elected superintendents in this state. I know that when I talked to Brenda Talent last week, she did say that there are people who are in the commissioner level, whatever, who are good people, that kind of thing. And so Missouri doesn't suffer too badly in that sense. But if you had somebody like that, I still think we should do it. I wish every state would do it. But to get, and now keep in mind, there's a possibility that it could go the other way, right? You could get, you have an activist conservative like Ryan Walters, but you could also get an activist woke left-wing kook also elected, depending on how much, money is in the campaign. You know how Soros and those guys operate in terms of supporting candidates and doing that kind of thing. So that could happen too. But for now, they've got in Oklahoma a conservative school superintendent, and he's bringing Turning Point USA into every single high school. I mean, that's astounding. And and it would not happen here. By the way, you do realize, I'm not even quite sure that there might be many kids who would dare even ask about this whole thing, because because of the way that they have maligned anybody connected to Charlie Kirk and all that, and how that would be triggering and all of this kind of stuff. I mean, it's possible, but yeah. All right. On to another subject here real quickly. So this is very interesting and probably consequential for you who are flying. And, I try to be patient with TSA. I'm not always a reflexively, oh, TSA, but sometimes you do get people who are really like pushy and pushing you around and screaming at you and doing all this other nonsense. And I'm like, well, maybe if you spent less time screaming at people and more time screening, you would have seen the 38 caliber bullets in my backpack when I went to Disney World with my family about 10 years ago, and you didn't. So, and I wasn't trying to hide them. I just accidentally had them in there. I took my gun out, but then forgot that I had bullets in my backpack. And I got on the plane with them and everything because they missed them. And I found out because I was looking for something when I got to Disney World. And at the bottom of my backpack are these 38 caliber bullets. Like, how did this get through? I'm kind of glad, because if I would have been flagged, they ought to put me someplace, and then people would not have been happy if they would do that. I don't know what they'd do if they found bullets in there. But anyway, there is, and also speaking of TSA, so last week, my mother-in-law was flying. She was taking a trip with my father-in-law, and they came back, and he picked up, and my father-in-law forgot his cane at the TSA or whatever, forgot his cane. So my mother-in-law goes back to the airport to see if they found his cane, or they could find his cane. And they told her it would cost her $37 for them to find the cane. The TSA people did. $37. I'm like, did you talk to like just a lead person or just one of these TSA people? She goes, no, I talked to I was going to pay $37 for them to find this cane. She goes, I could buy a cane for $20. It's that kind of nonsense, Like, isn't there a lost and found? I mean, since when does this happen? But anyway, so now this is really interesting. There's an air travel safety whistleblower. His name is John Cassaretti, and he's also president of the Air Marshal Association. And he wants President Trump and Congress to act quickly to basically allow the Federal Air Marshal Service to operate as its own agency without the bureaucracy of the TSA, and to better stop potential terror attacks. And this was coming to us from Breitbart News. And the Air Marshal Service was launched in the 60s under the FAA by JFK. It was moved to TSA in response to the September 11th, 2000 terrorist attacks. One of many big mistakes and overreaction from the terror attacks of 2001. The other one was, creating the Department of Homeland Security, so that all of these separate agencies were then mixed in with the Department of Homeland Security. Like Secret Service was moved there, taken out of Treasury and moved to Homeland Security. The border enforcement was moved into Homeland Security. And so you had Q-Ball Mayorkas, who was head of the Department of Homeland Security, and therefore all these other things, and it gets lost. You lose the effectiveness of having those separate agencies. And of course, the Air Marshal Service was moved to TSA in response to September 11th, because they thought, well, maybe that'll help or do whatever. And this whistleblower said everything the air marshals did around 2007 onwards was all through the lens of the TSA bureaucracy. TSA only cares about screeners. They don't have any deep experiences with law enforcement. Unfortunately, the air marshals were listening to them. All the policies were made by them, and bad policy after bad policy ensued. When it came to intelligence, when it came to hiring standards, all those things were lowered. And the air marshal is pointing out that if the TSA, all they do is care about screening, they're not picking up other types of clues and things like that. If it's only TSA and the air marshals aren't involved in that whole process, because, you know, a lot of law enforcement is observation. And a lot of law enforcement, frankly, sometimes is even profiling. Tell you the truth, profiling is fantastic. Ask any police officer. I mean, I'm not accusing them of profiling, but profiling is a good thing, not a bad thing. We all profile anyway in our daily lives, so why not have the police do it too? You know what I'm saying? So they're saying that a part of the security is picking up on other things other than whether or not you can see, you know, a gun in a pack through the screen, through the X-ray machine. There are other things that are involved in that, especially since you see that the 9/11 hijackers did not even use a gun. They used box cutters and things like that. But who knows what their behavior, if it was being monitored, would have given away at the time when they were going through the process of boarding the plane and doing all that kind of thing. And so the air marshals are saying we ought to be removed from that a little bit in whole so that we can do our own thing and our own investigations and our own observations instead of having to flow it through TSA, which only cares about staring at a screen. So it's a good idea. And I don't have any love for TSA anyway. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. The White House, everybody seems to be quieting down and gathering. So it must have been actually 1:15 that it was supposed to be happening with Bibi and the president. We'll bring it to you as it comes. This is Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch, the Allman Report, News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Stewie, and Jordan, these guys are my favorites when it comes to making sure that people are getting the best deal possible on all of their loans. Their loans for a home, or whatever it is, you know, like I deal with Jordan all the time because he's my go-to guy when I have people who need pre-approval or whatever. Jordan always gets it taken care of for them, lickety-splickety and very easily and with all zeros. So no closing costs, lower rate, no charges for pulling credit reports or whatever else that is. So that is amazing. And that applies at zero. That's why they do the bagel loan. They call it the bagel loan. Stewie came up with that. He's from Brooklyn. He goes, it's perfect. The bagel loan. It makes perfect sense because I'm from Brooklyn and the bagel looks like a zero. And that's all there is to it. And so that's what you're going to get. Zero closing costs on your refis, zero closing costs on your debt consolidation, zero closing costs on all of the things like with the way it is now, with the interest rates lower now. Now's the time to go ahead and do it. And if the interest rates go down a little bit, then refi again or debt consolidate again. Whatever it happens to be, you can do it with my guys at Stewie's American Mortgage. Stewie's American Mortgage. Check it out. Just Google the bagel loan, drop my name, and you are in.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
1019 and 94.1.
You have to take a stand can sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. Number one for live and local conservative talk.
I want to know what's happening here.
That's how I stay informed.
I put America first.
All the local content. 1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
I love these people. News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio with Barking Dogs, too. Jamie Allman here. 3 Martini Lunch. Jared Kushner is in the room. Huh. Haven't seen him in a long time. I really didn't like seeing him all that much all the time, but anyway. It's okay. We are awaiting the Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump briefing. And see Vice President Vance is there too. So everybody's kind of seated and ready to rock and roll. You guys, I promised you this earlier. This is pretty cool. I'm loving this whole thing with the Portland and the National Guard. I mean, what a cesspool that is. Unbelievable, man. Who are these people? And it's so funny how they don't want ICE, for instance, to wear masks, but they're all wearing masks. They all have their faces covered. I mean, what a bunch of punks, you know? But they're literally all wearing masks. That's just unbelievable. And the hypocrisy, like I played you earlier with Jake Tapper and everything, the hypocrisy is like through the roof. They have no sense of self-awareness whatsoever. Like you do realize what you are doing is exactly what you're protesting against, right? Or what you were saying is exactly what you didn't say earlier. It's like, you understand like what world you're living in? Like I said last week with Kimmel, it was all about free speech, free speech, free speech. And then Tapper's like, how dare President Trump go on Truth Social and talk about James Comey? It's like, do you guys know what you're saying? This was pleasing, though, because I do believe that these leftists and all these Karens are gradually getting what they deserve. So this is in Massachusetts, in Upton, Massachusetts. And this woman wanted to get out of, this is at a park or some sort. This woman wanted to get out of her car to heckle ICE agents who were arresting an illegal alien. And she didn't put the car in park.
Well, that sucks.
And it starts to roll into this lake and sink while she's still walking over to heckle the ICE agents.
Well, that sucks. Look at this, Lucy. Her car got lost.
Her car got lost. All right, Ashley, let's go on to the White House there then, because Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu just come out, and here's the President of the United States, ladies and gentlemen.
Ever in civilization, things that have been going on for hundreds of years and thousands of years. We're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We've worked well together, as we have with many other countries, both of us, with many other countries, which is the only way this whole situation gets solved. And I'm not just talking about Gaza. Gaza is one thing, but we're talking about much beyond Gaza. The whole deal, everything getting solved. It's called peace in the Middle East. So today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords. And most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East. And let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East. So this is far more than anybody expected, but the level of support that I've had from the nations in the Middle East and surrounding Israel and neighbors of Israel has been incredible, incredible. Every single one of them. This afternoon, after extensive consultation with our friends and partners throughout the region, I'm formally releasing our principles for peace, which people have really liked, I must say. And these are done not just routinely done, these are done with total consideration and working with the nations that we're talking about. All of these nations have made contributions to those suggestions. I want to thank the leaders of many Arab and Muslim nations for their tremendous support in developing the proposal, along with many of our allies in Europe. Europe has been very much involved, and as I was called by many of the European leaders, most of them saying, is this true? Are you really doing peace in the Middle East? This is the most incredible thing we've heard. Some think it's the biggest thing they've ever heard. They called just to find out, was it just a rumor or is it actually done? And then they said, have you spoken to the Arab leaders? Have you spoken to all of the other leaders that we have to get? A lot of people involved in this one. I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and for trusting that if we work together, we can bring an end to the death and destruction that we've seen for so many years, decades, even centuries, and begin a new chapter of security, peace, and prosperity for the entire region. And I want to just say that my meetings and dialogue that we had with so many countries, Saudi Arabia as an example, the king is a phenomenal person. The Emir of Qatar, he's incredible people. UAE, and that's MBZ and ABZ. We're totally involved. These are the
so you got to wonder.
We've been dealing with.
How is the news media going to spin negativity on this one? Seriously, I mean, if President Trump wanted to, he could just go to Bedminster and golf. And let the Gazans suffer and pay the price for their terrorism. But he's not, and neither is Bibi. So these are good dudes here.
Their tremendous support in developing the proposal, along with many of our allies in Europe. Europe has been very much involved, and as I was called by many of the European leaders, most of them saying, is this true? Are you really doing peace in the Middle East? This is the most incredible thing we've heard. Some think it's the biggest thing they've ever heard. They called just to find out, was it just a rumor or is it actually done? And then they said, have you spoken to the Arab leaders? Have you spoken to all of the other leaders that we have to get? A lot of people involved in this one. I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and for trusting that if we work together, we can bring an end to the death and destruction that we've seen for so many years, decades, even centuries, and begin a new chapter of security, peace, and prosperity for the entire region. And I want to just say that my meetings and dialogue that we had with so many countries, Saudi Arabia as an example, the king is a phenomenal person. The Emir of Qatar, he's incredible people. UAE, and that's MBZ and ABZ. We're totally involved. These are the people that we've been dealing with and who've been actually very much involved in this negotiation, giving us ideas, things they can live with, things they can't live with. Pretty complex. I mean, after 2,000, 3,000 years, whatever it is, I guess it's got to be a little complex, or it would have been done a long time ago. The King of Jordan was with us, as you know, in the United Nations. The President of Turkey, President Erdogan, is a friend of mine, a strong man, but a good man. President of Indonesia, somebody who's an amazing leader. Prabowo. He is an amazing leader and respected by everybody. He was in the room with us. We were together with most of these people that I'm mentioning. Others were.
I guarantee you, someone like Biden would never be able to remember any of these guys' names or anything because he was such an idiot. And President Trump acts, it doesn't matter. No matter who's hanging with, it seems, foreign governments, whatever, he always, treats them like buds. Like he always engages them and remembers their names and kind of turns it into this really great, well, he's a businessman, no wonder, but it's really refreshing.
President El-Sisi of Egypt, who's terrific. And these are people I've gotten to know over the years. I mean, I would say it started around 2015 and then went into 2016 when the presidency officially began. But I've known him actually for a long time, and there are many cases really great men. I can't say in all cases, but I will tell you in many cases, they're great men and some great women too. They tend to be mostly men, however, I will say that. But if accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours. So the hostages are coming back, and I hate even saying this from the standpoint, doesn't sound right, but it is so important to the parents. The bodies of the young men, I believe in almost all cases, the young men are coming back immediately. I met with parents. The parents felt as strongly about getting.
So basically, part of this is all hostages in this proposed deal would be released, including the bodies of those that were killed.
And it means the immediate end to the war itself, not just Gaza. It's the war itself. Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed, and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it. The people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas. And I'm hearing that Hamas wants to get this done too, and that's a good thing. And destroy all terror infrastructure, including the tunnels, weapons, production facilities. They have a lot of production facilities that we're destroying. They'll also help train local police forces in the areas that we're discussing right now, in particular in and around Gaza, working with the new transitional authority in Gaza. All parties will agree on a timeline for Israeli forces to withdraw in phases. They'll be withdrawing in phases. No more shooting, hopefully, as progress is made toward achieving these goals. Arab and Muslim nations need to be allowed the chance to fulfill these commitments of dealing with Hamas. They have to deal with them because they were the one group that we have not.
This is really cool because President Trump obviously has engaged the Arab and Muslim countries in their own futures and also in taming Hamas because it's in their best interest too. And also, he did something that I think was fairly consequential and pretty hard to do, and that was he got Bibi to agree to gradually withdraw Israeli troops from that area. Pretty badass.
Back in Marco's here, and a lot of our leaders are here. Our great Vice President, Susie Wiles, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. They've been so involved in this process. I don't think anybody else could have done it or even come close. But it's we're right there. We're right there. First time in thousands of years, I think you can probably say, if you really look into it, if you study back, if you're a scholar, you would say thousands of years. Israel would have my full backing to finish the job of destroying the threat of Hamas. But I hope that we're going to have a deal for peace. And if Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible. They're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, BB, you'd have our full backing.
Yeah.
To do what you would have to do.
Kill them.
Everyone understands that the ultimate result must be the elimination of any danger posed in the region. And the danger is caused by Hamas. The tyranny of terror has to end. And this is, again, something that we're looking for. This is eternity. This is for forever. To ensure
crazy,
the
huh?
success of this effort, my plan calls for the creation of a new international oversight body, the Board of Peace, we call it, the Board of Peace, sort of a beautiful name, the Board of Peace, which will be headed, not at my request, believe me, I'm very busy, but we have to make sure this works. The leaders of the Arab world and Israel and everybody involved asked me to do this, so it would be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump of the United States. That's what I want, just some extra work to do, but it's so important that I'm willing to do it, and we'll do it.
Chairman of the Board of Peace.
Leaders from other countries on, and leaders that are very distinguished leaders, and we'll have a board, and one of the people that wants to be on the board is the UK former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, good man, very good man, and some others. And they'll be named over the next few days. And it'll be quite the board.
That's cool.
Everybody wants to be on it now. I don't know if that had anything to do. They named me and everybody else wanted to be on it. I guess they figure, well, he's a soft touch. He'll be easy to deal with. Working with the World Bank and others, it will be responsible for recruiting and training a new government that will be made up of Palestinians along with highly qualified experts from all around the world. Hamas and other terrorist factions will play no role in the board, but they'll play no role in the governance of Gaza at all, directly or indirectly.
This must be driving all the people on the left and the media crazy, because like, damn it, he's doing something positive. He's going to change the world. What are they going to say now? I can't imagine, although we don't have to care, really, do we? Do we really care what CBS News is going to say at 5:30? Nah. How about the Board of Peace, man? That's like from the Guardians of the Galaxy or something, you know? It's like science fiction. The Board of Peace, now convening the Board of Peace. I wish they would all have uniforms. What would the Board of Peace uniforms be like? Like, you know, some kind of jumpsuit or something with a Board of Peace patch on it. This is like surreal. It's so cool, though. You know what I mean? It's it's not the slightest bit surprising. But now it's like the Avengers, the Board of Peace. I love it, man. Get that jumpsuit out. Wear a hat.
Because he's a warrior. He doesn't know about.
Oh, by the way, this also takes out the idea that Hamas, under this deal, Hamas is not going to have a role in governing Gaza.
Normalization in a true sense. Several countries have foolishly recognized the Palestinian state. As you know, some of our European friends, allies, good people, but they're really, I think, doing that because they're very tired of what's going on for so many decades. They've been presidents and prime ministers for years, and during this time, having to do with the Middle East, all they're doing is talking about the same thing over and over. They want to see it get back. And nobody wants that more than me, or I believe Bibi too. But the people of Israel want it. They really want it. They want the hostages back. That includes the probably 32 bodies that we're talking about, 20 people that are living, 32 or so people that are dead. And they want to have peace. So let us not forget how we got here. Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. Israel withdrew from Gaza thinking they would live in peace. Remember that a long time ago, they withdrew. They said, you take it. This is our contribution to peace. But that didn't work out. That didn't work out. It was the opposite of peace. They pulled away. They let them have it. And I never forgot that because I said, that doesn't sound like a good deal to me. As a real estate person, I mean, they gave up the ocean, right? Ron, they gave up the ocean. They said, who would do this deal?
Right on.
And it still didn't work out. They were very generous, actually. And they gave up the most magnificent piece of land in many ways in the Middle East. And they said, all we want to do now is have peace. And that request was not honored. Instead of building a better life for the Palestinians, Hamas diverted resources to build over 400 miles of tunnels and terror infrastructure, rocket production facilities, and hid their military command posts and launch sites in hospitals, schools, and mosques. So if you went after them, you'd be after them and you wouldn't even realize you ended up knocking out a hospital or school or a mosque. A terrible thing, terrible way to have to fight. No fight is good, but that's a real bad one. So there are many Palestinians who wish to live in peace. Many. I've seen so many of them. And they have support. And I challenge the Palestinians to take responsibility for their destiny, because that's what we're giving them. We're giving them responsibility for their destiny.
Saving their lives.
Prohibit terrorism and earn their way to a brighter future. They don't want the life that they've had. They've had a rough life with Hamas. If the Palestinian Authority does not complete the reforms that I laid out in my vision for peace in 2020, they'll have only themselves to blame. We're giving them an amazing footprint, and they have amazing support from the leaders of the Arab world and the Muslim world, the great leaders. These are great leaders. These are unbelievable leaders that have built great countries and very wealthy countries. What the future holds for the Palestinians, no one really knows, but the plan that we put forward today is focused on ending the war immediately, getting all of our hostages back, getting everything back. Hard to believe when you even say it, and creating conditions for durable Israeli security and Palestinian success. Israeli security is going to be involved. We're going to help you. We'll be there with you in terms of helping with security. We want to make sure it works. We just want to make sure it works. There shouldn't be a shot fired. Now, there will be, I guess, because that's the way it seems to be, but there shouldn't have to be within a few days. There shouldn't have to be a shot fired. And maybe for eternity. Wouldn't that be nice? I hope it's true. I can tell you the leadership of that region feels that there's a good chance of it being true. So this will lead to this agreement that we're talking about will lead to a sustainable long-term peace. No president in history has been a greater friend of the state of Israel than I have, in addition to negotiating.
All right, so I'm going to take a quick break here, and Bibi Netanyahu will likely talk as well. But the key here towards that end there, and you saw him plant this earlier in the speech as well, is basically he's giving the Palestinians an offer they can't refuse. So basically Donald Trump is saying, and President Trump is saying, you're either going to die with Hamas or you're going to live without them. That's going to be your option. And believe me, this is better for you because you have only yourself to blame if you don't take this offer. Hamas, the same way. Earlier, he had mentioned that, hey, Hamas, if I'm you, I'd take this deal. If you don't, Benjamin Netanyahu, knock yourself out. He said it as gently as he could. I'm super excited about the Board of Peace. It's always something new. You never can predict this great man in his mind. This is Common Sense Radio. Happy Monday to all of you and yours.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Gemini Wealth Group people, if you are 55 or just whatever you're thinking in terms of, I think I'm going to retire. I'm going to retire in a couple of years, whatever. You got to make sure you're ready to rock and roll, and the Gemini Wealth Group is going to help you do that. Jeff Portman, who is a buddy of mine, 314-888-0123, 314-888-0123. The GeminiWealthGroup.com. That is what this is all about. So what you do is you hook up with these folks, and his team will make sure that you have adequate diversification of all of your investments. And I remember asking him about the diversification thing. He goes, yeah, it's diversification, but it's got to have a goal. So it's not just diversifying for diversification's sake, just scattering all these itinerant type of investments. We're investing in strong investments for you and making sure they are diversified at the same time. So you've got all that working for you. Long-term planning, you got to make sure you're calculating your healthcare costs or your mortgage or rent payments, that kind of stuff. How are you going to live? And again, it's good news that some people are living 20, 30 years after retirement, but it's bad news if you're not prepared, because you don't want to be, looking for change in the ashtrays of the car. I know there aren't ashtrays in the car anymore, but you know what I mean, when you're 10 years in. So you want to make sure Gemini Wealth Group is there for you. The GeminiWealthGroup.com is the website. Jeff Portman is the poobah there. 314-888-0123.
Winter's coming fast. Is your furnace ready? Johnson Heating and Cooling is here to help. Get our complete furnace checkup for just $99. We'll check for gas leaks, inspect electrical connections, and examine your flue to keep your family safe and warm. We service all brands of equipment, and we're fully licensed and insured. From furnace maintenance to air conditioning service, new installations to repairs. Call 636-332-4141 or visit johnson-heatingandcooling.com.
Colombo and Company.
Going into the weekend, we were on the doorstep of a government shutdown. Has anything changed? We'll discuss the latest Monday, plus Virginia Cruda, Paul Kurtman, and AI expert Mike McClary.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
When the soul of the city was laid to rest.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on Newstalk STL. Wow, very dramatic events unfolding in the White House today. President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu ready to rock the world with peace. Peace, but with strength, so to speak, So basically, President Trump, in the midst of all this, and of course, the beauty of all this is that he gathered up. It wasn't just him and Benjamin Netanyahu. He was involving all of the leaders of the Arab and Muslim countries. And it goes back to, of course, that one of his wonderful speeches from his first term. There are a couple of really great speeches, one of them obviously in Poland, but the other one to the Muslim world. I remember him telling them, why you have such beautiful things here. He talked about their buildings and things like that, and their history and their art and all this kind of stuff. It's like, you guys have such a majestic role in world history. Why would you pee all that away with terrorism or even letting it still exist? You're a beautiful culture, Muslim and Arab culture. Why are you letting this happen to you? And that was really a great speech that he made. I mean, you ought to go back to it. If you can find it, you ought to go back to it. And so on a smaller way, he engaged these people in these talks and said, I don't know about you. It's kind of like going to somebody and saying, your little brother is a jerk and you're going to have to take care of him or somebody else will. And all it is tarnishing your family name. You got to take care of it. And so he engaged these Arab countries in this fight in the need for peace, because Hamas is just, that's all people think about when they think about Arabs and Muslims is Hamas now. So stop it, help us stop it, and they're going to. In fact, he said, and the European leaders, of course, too, because you got to get this under wraps here. And of course, he said, so Hamas right now is the only one out there who hasn't kind of signed off on this thing yet. And so, Hamas, here's your chance. You're either going to sign on to this, or I'm telling Bibi he could kill every single one of you, and we'll just watch. So, This is, I mean, to me, if I'm Hamas, it's like, yeah, we kind of better do that because it doesn't matter what your sick left-wing opinion about Hamas and Palestine and everything else isn't going to count anymore. Basically, the subhead of this conversation is that basically President Trump said, do whatever you want to do if this doesn't work out. And if that means incinerate the entirety of Gaza, then do it. And that's good, because I do believe that the only thing, Hamas, the only thing they rely on and respond to is violence anyway. So you have to take it out or give them the chance. And they're lucky that they're getting this opportunity. And President Trump also said that. He goes, you're lucky, because there's a lot of things we could be doing right now, and we're basically saving your life. So that's your choice right now. But there's a lot of things we could be doing. I could just go back and have lunch and let Bibi carpet bomb every single one of you people. But I'm not. We're trying to come up with something that is peaceful and humane. But there's no question what President Trump and eventually Bibi Netanyahu will do it as well when he speaks. I'm sure Tony will have some features of that in his show, Colombo and Company. But at this point, at this level right now, President Trump is like, this is in your hands. This is how it's going to roll. And you're gonna take it or leave it. And again, telling the Palestinians that here's the deal: you keep attaching yourself to Hamas, you'll die. You release yourself from Hamas, you'll live. That's how it's going to roll for you in Gaza right now. So now's your chance. Although, of course, unfortunately, we saw with the parading of all the bodies, all those people in Gaza, they weren't all Hamas. They were Palestinians who support Hamas. Hamas is not going to be controlling the government anymore. And so that's another component of this. So we'll see. And then, of course, President Trump announcing the Board of Peace, which is great. I mean, come on. That's fantastic. And he's like, well, and the chairman of the Board of Peace will be Donald J. Trump. We're like, yeah, right on, because I can't imagine somebody else being the chairman of the Board of Peace. And then all these other people are going to be on the Board of Peace, And they're going to meet on a platform that floats in the sky. I know they're going to meet on a big slab of golden granite that will be held up in the air by beautiful angels who will fly them around the air as the Board of Peace meets. At least that's my vision. BB speaking now, but we gotta go. And everybody will keep you updated throughout the rest of the day on this very lovely, peaceful day in the world, for that matter. Ashland, thank you so much. You guys, thank you for listening to the show. Really appreciate you. This is Common Sense Radio. The 3 Martini Lunch is hereby ended.
Number 1 for live and local
Conservative talk.
You can take these facts.
I know for a fact.
It's just about time. It's not now. When?
Oh, there's just so much to say and not enough time to say it or do it.
I'm sorry. This is our country. This is the country that you and I love.
I'm kind of not surprised.